Ladies, y'all may not want to listen to this because I don't know how serious this is going to get, but it's going to get pretty serious, okay? This is to all the lettered agencies in this country, United States of America. We the people want our country back. And we're not asking you to give it back. We're telling you we're taking our country back.
Oh, you think you're free in this country? Okay. It's an illusion. You wait till your car doesn't start. They shut off the power on you. You can't access your money in your bank account. They are building an electronic cage around you, around your children, their future. All these corrupt politicians are all a part of it. All of them. Every single one. You better have a plan. Things are going to get a lot worse.
One of the saddest things about the United States right now is how deeply unaware most American citizens are of what is coming for us in 2027, because we've chosen not to. Everything else is so crazy, and we're all working too hard to get by. What's coming is going to hurt even more than what we're going through right now.
You know, if you're not awake yet, there actually might not be any hope for you, because they put it out there for you. They put it right in front of your face every single day, all day long. They put it in your face. It's up to you to choose to actually see it. It's up to you.
I quit my job recently, I guess, to add to the voices of Americans who are furious with the way things are going right now. You know, I had a good, cushy government job, made decent money, and I guess I just feel like I can't stand by anymore and watch these people in my country. I feel like we're seeing the last of a dying empire, and the people at the top are trying to squeeze every last bit they can from it and leave nothing for my kids and my grandchildren. And I guess I feel like I can't stand around and let that happen anymore. So, yeah, I'll become self-employed, and I'm going to at least spend part of my time speaking into this camera to see if I can help someone out there, you know, wake up, deprogram, maybe start to look around and, you know, see what's happening and to be able to kind of, I guess, decode a lot of the bullshit that's going on right now. This right-left paradigm that they've put everybody in, it's all bullshit. It's all WWE. It's all professional wrestling shit to keep you distracted from the power structure at the top.
I truly feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone right now. And I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm frustrated, and I don't understand how we are literally looking at the desecration of democracy in the United States of America right now. And I feel like nobody is talking about it. Like, you go out in public and nobody's talking about it. I go to work, nobody's talking about it. They're talking about Love Island bullshit. It's just, I feel like everyone is sticking their head in the sand. Our food is being contaminated. We have no FDA regulations anymore. That's out the window. They're saying, oh, no, false positive. And yet people are just allowing it to happen and pretending like everything's going to be okay. It's not okay. When is the uprising going to start? Are we going to be the generation that just sits back and does absolutely nothing and doesn't say anything? Because I feel like that's the direction we're headed.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great wherever you are watching us from. For generations, black people have been warning America about what happens when power goes unchecked. We talked about surveillance, unfair treatment, economic equality, discrimination, and a system that can make ordinary people feel powerless. And for a long time, many people looked at those struggles and say that's their problem. But what happens when those same problems start showing up in everyone's neighborhood? Now, people are asking questions they should have been asking decades ago. And maybe the lesson is simple. When injustice is allowed to grow, eventually it stops asking who you are. Anyway, guys, let's dive straight into the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel Like and share the video to help the channel out. I'll be back with my comment race.
I was having a conversation today with a friend of mine, and we were talking about privacy. Alexa was in the room when we were talking, and I said, that Alexa is probably storing every conversation you have in here and may or may not use that information against you later in the future. And we got to talking about rooms in our home and what is the safest room in the home to not be surveilled or spied upon by cameras in devices of all kinds. And I thought maybe it's the bathroom, maybe it's the bedroom. But then I thought, I have a new TV. And not everyone has a TV in their bedroom. I do. I might remove it after this. But all of these new TVs have cameras in them. Are they recording? Do we really have any way of knowing? Where does that information go if they are recording, even when they're off? Who's looking at that information and why are they collecting it? Do we think this is going to be used for good or for evil? All of these cameras, like flock cameras, they're being sold to us on the premise that it's for our own good. I don't think so. They're being sold to us as if you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't need to worry about this. What do you have to hide? Well, the majority of the population does not have anything to hide, but we do have something called dignity, human dignity. And there is a certain expectation that every single move you make, every conversation you have, every time you lift your child up into the air at a playground or in the swimming pool, that is not being recorded somewhere and stored in a data center that's killing the environment. It's being sold to us that it'll keep us safer. Well, in my experience, only about 10% of the population in any given environment, whether it's a classroom, a work environment, in society, 10% of the population is the problem. Not the 90% who are doing their best every day to feed their families, go to work, have some dignity, not commit any crimes. Those cameras are not for the 90%. Please think about this. Please start using your voices here. I don't agree with this. And I think there's a huge disconnect with the handful of people and the government that's allowing this. And I'm not anti-government, but I am anti-intrusion of privacy. God bless you.
Those of us who are working on AI data farms right now and seeing the amount of money and labor and investment into this, and then you talk to some of your contractor friends, and the budgets just aren't real. It's almost like the amount of money they're spending on AI farms, it's like money's not even real. If you're working on an AI farm, drop a comment below.
Remember how I said I lived out in the middle of nowhere with absolutely nothing around us? What's that? What is that? What is that for? Oh, a free country. What are you monitoring? And why are our tax dollars being used to enslave the people, I wonder?
There's roughly 20,000 humanoid robots currently being trained to work retail, customer service, product demonstrations, front of house, anything to do with customers for walk-ins. And currently, BMW, Mercedes, Amazon, Tesla are all using humanoid robots to build cars. BMW last year had 30,000 cars built with humanoids, at least the humanoid assistants. And if you didn't know, currently in New York, they're testing out a humanoid teacher assistant, which we all know, if it works, will be replacing teachers. It's a trial program. Teachers union, not a big fan. Doesn't matter. We're all in trouble. So if you're not taking AI and AI technology very seriously with your job, I know what you're saying. What are they going to do if robots take over everything? How will we buy things? I don't know. But I can tell you, I got rid of my landscaper, the guy that cuts my grass, and replaced him with a autonomous little robot that cuts my grass every day. And it was inexpensive. It was cheaper to do that than to pay him the rest of the summer. He also didn't show up a lot, so it just made sense. We're all in trouble.
So if you're a home gardener, I have a question. Are you seeing weird shit happen with what you've planted? Because I am. And my sister is. And some friends of ours that have a garden have been telling us some interesting stories about what's happening. Because we've done a couple of raised beds. And I'm out and I do my watering. I've given them some, some nutrients and some fertilizer, and everything was going great. I had like 5 or 6 green peppers that were coming up looking absolutely beautiful. And then we had a big rainstorm that popped up out of the blue, and I'm going, well, it's because of the humidity, right? And the next day I walk out and every single one of those green peppers were yellowed, beginning to rot, and pretty much dead and useless. I had a cucumber start to grow that was this big, bulbous on one end, and it ended up being like a baseball and then had a little nub on it. Friends of ours are reporting that their gardens are failing. My sister and my family plant a garden every year. They've had to redo beans 3 times. And what they're getting also in some of the squash and zucchinis are warped. They look more like gourds. So if this is happening in small gardens, can you imagine what's happening in the larger ones? But my question is, why after a rainstorm that just blew through out of the blue, did suddenly every one of my green peppers rot and die overnight? The f*** is going on? And if you're not paying attention to this, friends, to what's going on with food in general right now, well, people are starting to pay attention. But if you have something, you can please put it in the comments. Because, shit's failing. Take care.
You guys see that shit out in Oregon where they want to ban hunting and fishing? What in the is going on in this country? I mean, between that, these data centers, the ridiculous amounts of taxes that get extorted from us daily. How did we get here? What are we doing? It is beyond time for us to go to Washington, D.C. and drag these out by their head and all up. Dude, they are taking everything from us. And we just keep sitting here and letting it happen. Going to work every day, paying these ridiculous taxes. And then every time you get a bill in the mail, it's sky high. When are we going to stop it?
So in the 4 years since I bought my house, my property taxes have increased 30%. If American citizens can pay taxes based on the value of their home, why can't billionaires pay taxes based on the value of their assets?
Where's our money? Where is our money? The DOJ just announced that they have arrested 455 people accused of medical fraud in 45 different states. The medical fraud that they have uncovered equals over $6 billion. In a separate case, the FBI has uncovered over 12,000 cases of real estate fraud. That fraud is estimated at $275 million. The Social Security Department has uncovered billions of dollars of fraud for fake housing programs in different states, giving away money to people that needed housing that actually did not. And then Doge. Do you remember when Doge was a big thing with Elon Musk, who supposedly uncovered $200 million of fraud, and we were supposed to get like a kickback because it's all of our money. Over $800 billion of taxpayer money has been going to these fake programs, allowing people in the medical industry to file claims that aren't real. All of this goes back to us. We're the taxpayers funding all of these programs. And I don't know about you, but I don't have a check in my mailbox. And they say, oh yeah, we made all these arrests. We're bringing all these people to justice. That's great. But where's our money?
Okay, this one makes me mad as hell. And it shows our government doesn't give a shit about us. You know how we were all excited about Toyota showing this little $8,000 truck? It'd be a great little work truck or just a cheap transportation. Brand new truck for $8,000. That's what they run in China. And they were going to start selling them over here. And our Congress went out of its way to pass a bill and block any of these little trucks or vehicles from coming over here. And you know it's because our big auto industry here lobbied them, gave them some gifts, got them to vote their direction. But so now we don't get the benefit of having some cheap vehicles that with great gas mileage that work just as good as these $80,000 trucks. So now, I mean, they just keep us in perpetual debt. So thank you, Congressman and your senators for keeping you in poverty and not allowing world trade. I don't get it.
I applied for a job. They gave me the job and I said to them, I do not want any tax or CPP deducted from my check. You guys pay me exactly what I'm owed. Okay? $40 an hour, 40 hours, pay me the $1,600. That's what I want. I'm not paying for a politician to take 10 months a year off and do absolutely nothing but ruin the economy and make other people's life absolute misery and then send the balance of the money to another country. I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying to work. You're only on the earth for a very, very short time, very, very short period, and you spending 80% of your time supporting someone else is absolutely asinine. And you know what? The government's only answer to people not wanting to work to pay tax is they're going to throw you in jail. I welcome that. I welcome going to jail. Are you kidding me? 3 meals a day, roof over my head, free clothes, there's a library I can read, there's online, there's video games. I don't know, that sounds like summer camp. That doesn't sound like jail or prison. That sounds like fun.
My father-in-law is 93 years old. He'll be 94 soon. And he likes to talk about the years that he worked at a local plant manufacturer here in town as his best years. That's all he wanted to do, that everybody wanted to work for this company. And the company, like a lot of companies, how it used to be, had pensions. He has been retired now from that company more years than he worked there, and he gets a pension check every single month. And he says that when he worked there in the 70s and 80s and all that if you called out sick and you had a sick day, the employer paid you more on that day because they assumed you had more expenses like doctor's visits and buying medicine. So I think those types of examples are really important to remember, that those pensions and unions and those benefits that were paid to employees because employers respected them as part of a thriving middle class, those protections don't exist anymore. And so when older generations say, well, just do what we did and you work hard and you pull yourself up and it doesn't exist anymore. But they had it. And isn't that nice?
This is your sign to stop paying your credit cards. Okay? Now, this is not medical advice by any means, but it's important for you to know that my credit cards have not been paid in many, many, many months, and whose credit score is going up? Yeah, this girl. This girl! So it's all a scam. It's all numbers. Money is not real. It is just numbers on a freaking screen at this point. And same with the credit score. Numbers on a screen that go up and down like a teeter-totter. And sometimes when you're teeter-tottering in the way that you've been taught is best, okay, this is going to increase my score, boom, it goes down. So what I'm telling you today is it will literally pay off for you to have more freedom and stop caring so much about paying those credit card bills. Just stop paying them. Again, absolutely not medical advice.
You know, I am so frustrated. My mother is 78 years old. She worked her entire life. She paid into Social Security and Medicare for decades, never missing a payment, believing it would be there for her when she needed it most. Her Social Security check was about $1,400 a month. Not nearly enough to survive on, and now they're no longer paying her Medicare Part B. So after her Medicare Part B premium is deducted, she's left with around $1,200. Her rent alone is $800. That leaves her with just $400 to cover everything else: food, medication, transportation. You know, she stands in the grocery store comparing prices down to the penny, putting items back because she cannot afford them. Some days she skips meals to make sure her groceries last longer. Tell me how she's supposed to pay for groceries, prescription, and everything else on what's left. Meanwhile, Americans watch billions of tax dollars being spent on housing, health care, and other services for illegal immigrants. And you also have a massive amount of these illegals who've come here and stolen money from the taxpayers through fraud. So our hardworking seniors have just been pushed to the back of the line. Our elderly shouldn't have to struggle after a lifetime of working and paying into the system. They deserve security, dignity, and to know their own government puts them first. It's time to start taking care of the Americans who spent their lives taking care of this country. And don't even get me started on the vets and how they're treated.
Millennials are so nostalgic because we got a taste of the world before everything became a subscription, an algorithm, or a monthly payment. People want to make fun of us for being nostalgic. Of course we are. We remember when hanging out wasn't content. Pictures weren't proof. And the internet was just a place that you visited, not where you lived. We lived through 17 different versions of society. We had a childhood where our parents kicked us outside and said, be home when the streetlights come on. Then suddenly we had to learn email, rank our friends on MySpace top 8. Then Facebook, then Instagram, then TikTok. Now somehow my refrigerator needs Wi-Fi. We had landlines, then flip phones, then Blackberries, then iPhones. And now my phone is editing my photos, answering my questions, and judging me on my screen time. We learned cursive. And then they said, you know what, never mind. We memorized phone numbers. Now we refuse to even pick up the phone. We use MapQuest. Printed out directions. You made one wrong turn, you ended up in Nebraska. We survived enough technological updates that now when I hear, here's a new feature, I know that I'm gonna have to teach my parents and my children how to use it. We're not nostalgic because we're old. We're nostalgic because we've had to relearn how to be a human every 5 years.
So I work at a restaurant, as many of you know, and last night I was working my dinner shift, and my first table is I give them the check, and then I come up to collect the check and like take their payment, and the woman's on her phone, and she's like, oh, like I'm just paying the bill on my phone. And I'm like, what do you mean you're just paying on your phone? Because like we don't have anything like that. She's like, oh yeah, I just went to your website and I was able to like pay on my phone, like through your website, like you just enter your check number. Like what? So I like go check in with management. Apparently it's some new system that was like implemented like very recently, but it like kind of doesn't have anything to do with us. I don't know. I wasn't fully clear on like the whole thing, but it just like really freaked me out because so people could now get their bill at the table and then pay on the app and just, I mean, I guess tip like whatever. But there's also like some monetary reward, and like if you use this payment system. And not only that, but if you download like this app, in order to use this app at different restaurants, you have to give them your credit card information. And I just really feel like we are just at such a point in society where it's just everything is so out of hand technologically. Like, can we not just like go out to eat? Just like simple. Like everything has to require like now 50,000 apps. All these people have to be involved. You have to give your information to everybody. Like, is anyone like actually like concerned? Like I am concerned. Like the direction we're heading is not normal. And this is just a very small example of something that's like not really creating like true harm on anyone, but like going down this path none of this is sustainable.
I'm never eating anything out of a drive-through ever again. Look here, kids, FDA approved, lab grown, genetically modified meats. It's coming. Finite for this fat bald dude. If it's got a drive-through anymore, I'm done. You want to know why? Bang. Tyson Foods. Tyson Foods is the chicken purveyor for every fast food restaurant in the nation. If it has a drive-through attached, guess what? They get their chicken from Tyson through Cisco Food Service. Let's just put this out here. They have put in millions, billions of dollars in 3 different labs to grow lab-grown chicken, genetically altered and modified chicken. Finite. It's a wrap. Anybody that's been buying food for as long as I have not had anything out of a drive-through in years, and I'm going to tell you, don't buy anything out of a drive-through. And hell, don't even trust anything from Kroger either.
So I bought some mayonnaise. It came in a 2-pack from Costco, right? Packaging, obviously it says UPARV, which is kosher, right? There's nothing on the packaging that says bioengineered ingredient. So when I look here, I go right here where it says product of Canada, ingredients derived from a bioengineered source. I opened one. I don't think I could take these back to Costco, but oh man, look at the bottom of that. Okay, look at the bottom of that. That looks kind of weird, right? Let's look at the bottom. This is another Best Foods. I went to Stater Brothers. See the difference in the bottoms? Isn't that crazy? Bioengineered source, non-bioengineered source. This one doesn't say anything about being derived from a bioengineered source. So you guys have to check, okay?
You want to know something that absolutely just bothers me? I'm out here in my garage, and you can see my driveway right there. And a guy just drove by real slow like. I know his tire's flat. I hear it womp, 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 womp. He's on the rim and got flashers on. And I'm sitting here with 2 trucks in the garage and tools everywhere, and he just drives on by. He can see my shop open for a little piece. Here's the thing. We live in a society where folks don't even want to bother nobody no more, man. They don't even want to ask they don't want to ask for help, because at some point in time they've asked for help and somebody made out like it was a damn inconvenience to help somebody. Since when have we got to the point that we can't even help our neighbor no more, you know? No joke, man. I wish he'd have just pulled in here, man. I got air, impact, floor jack. I could have had him on the road about 10 minutes. But he gonna run the risk going down this black road all the way, black night all the way. Who knows how far he gotta go? I might be somebody's kid. All I had to do was just swing in, and I took care of him. But as a society, we so distant from each other. Don't nobody go sit on front porches no more. Don't nobody just go visit nobody. Everybody too busy, or they got this going on, or they got that. I'm guilty of it too, you know. I mean, we kind of stay to ourselves, but like, Just sad that we didn't got to this point. We done got all this technology that'll connect us in an instant, yet we don't even talk to our neighbors. Sad.
I'm so done. I'm done. I've been heavily out in the job market. As most of you know, I worked for Turning Point last year, all right? Political involvement, ran for political office. Now I'm trying to find a regular job. And now I'm out in the workforce, and I'm going to tell you something right now. I am so qualified. I have a master's degree in project management, business, and organizational leadership. I have a bachelor's degree from Florida State University. I've done project management work for a law group here in Florida back in the day to help hurricane victims. Okay? I've done it all. I've done a lot of great work. Nobody, they're hiring, right? They're not getting back to you. They say, oh my gosh, great candidate. We would love for you to come in for an interview. We'll call you tomorrow, set something up. No call back. You call them back and it's like, we're not hiring anymore. Well, then take your post down. I'm just going to tell you right now, any mainstream politician out there that says this economy is getting better and there are so many jobs, bullshit. Okay? Nobody really wants to hire. 2020 really ruined a lot. And now I'm seeing it coming out of the political world and trying to get back into the regular world, I guess. Yeah. It's not fun. It's really not fun. And I really pray for this country. Because I know there's a lot more people out there way more qualified than my qualifications on their resume, and they're having a hard time. The wages in Florida, shit. The cost of living in Florida, New York and California prices now. Florida won't up their wages. How are Floridians going to survive? Well, that's because most of the original Floridians can no longer live.
Welcome back, guys. Let's be honest for a moment. One of the biggest mistakes people can make is believing that injustice only matters when it happens to them. For generations, Black Americans have experienced things that were often dismissed, minimized, or treated like somebody else's problem. Economic equality, aggressive policing, discrimination, surveillance, housing struggle, unfair treatment in workplace, and community being left behind. And whenever people try to raise the alarm, the response was often, that doesn't affect me. But look around today. People from all backgrounds are struggling with the cost of living. Rent is becoming harder to afford. Groceries cost more. Jobs that often provide stability are becoming harder to find. Technology is collecting more information about people than ever before, and artificial intelligence is changing the workplace at a speed that many ordinary workers aren't prepared for. And suddenly, people who never thought about these issues are beginning to ask questions. How much control do we actually have over our own lives? That is a serious question, because this shouldn't be about black versus white. It should be about one political team against another. And it definitely shouldn't be about celebrating someone else suffering simply because you don't like the race, their politics, or where they come from. That's exactly how ordinary people get divided, while the people with the most power keep making decisions. Think about it. If your neighbor loses their job, your family isn't automatically safer. If another community can't afford housing, your rent doesn't magically become cheaper. If someone else's privacy is taken away, that doesn't guarantee you will remain protected forever. And if government power becomes too aggressive, history teaches us that it doesn't always stop with the people it originally targeted. That's why history matters. Black people didn't invent the warning sign. We experienced them. We know what happens when people are told that certain communities doesn't deserve the same opportunities. We know what happens when fear becomes more powerful than facts. And we know what happens when people become so consumed with racial hatred that they can't watch another human being suffer and somehow feel comfortable because they believe at least it's not happening to me. That's a dangerous mindset because eventually the question becomes, what kind of country do we actually want? Do we want a country where people are constantly fighting each other while corporations, politicians, and powerful institutions make decisions behind closed doors? Or do we want ordinary people paying attention, asking questions, learning history, and demanding accountability? I'm not saying every warning you hear online is automatically true. We should question everything, including the people telling us to be afraid. But we should also stop dismissing legitimate concerns simply because they come from people we don't like. Sometimes the person warning you about the fire isn't your enemy. Sometimes they are the person who saw the smoke before you did. And maybe that's the lesson America needs right now. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to share my background. But if we are all struggling with the same rising costs, the same uncertainty, and the same fear about the future, maybe it's time we stop allowing those differences to keep us permanently divided, because when ordinary people are divided, everybody loses. And when people finally realize that, that's when real conversation can begin. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this video? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share the video to help the channel out. See you in my next video. For now, peace.